back, everybody, to another episode of Strong Female Lead. I'm one of your co-hosts, Tessa.
And I'm Tricia.
And we are back with a Christmas classic, and a special guest. We've got friend to the pod, our resident-in-chief. Is that correct? Resident-chief? Chief? Associate? Not an associate. Dr. Laura Reston.
Ooh, it's Reston.
Reston. Excuse me.
No, you didn't say it right. It's our
Laura Reston.
Our lady doctor, right? It's our lady doctor.
She is a lady. She is a lady. So she has all of the authorities to give us opinions.
I am a doctor. I will say that, yes. I'm not a lady doctor, but I am a doctor who's a lady.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you for having me. Thank you for making me watch this movie. It happened.
It happened to your face.
Guys, that is the accurate description of how I feel about this movie, and I feel a little bad having made you guys watch it because I picked it on a whim. I was like, let's be different and edgy, and it blew back in my face. It blew back in my face. It mangled me. I'm now a shell of who I used to be because of this film, and I really want you guys to also watch it so that we can all just be 2021 on the same level. We're leaving 2020 mangled, and we just want to go into 2021 indescribable in every way. This movie has changed me.
I hear you on feeling bad, but this to me was way easier than our last movie.
Ooh.
What?
Shots fired.
That is shots fired. I am shocked because this is a new disagreement for us. I think that your and Laura's choice of Christmas with a Prince was fantastic. I had a great time watching that. This one was a struggle.
Yeah, I think that's just where my tendency towards the dark, right? Like I can do stupid and dark a lot, or like terrible and dark. Even though this was barely dark.
Yeah, this one is dark with a very bright night light. It was not,
it was not scary.
Well, yeah, and scary at all. In the film that we were speaking of course, is 2019's Black Christmas. I am not a horror or slasher movie person, so luckily this wasn't really that. So. No. I was worried that I would be scared to watch this, so I actually did wait until daytime hours out of fear of not being able to sleep. But I think I'll sleep just fine.
You'll be just fine.
It may have lulled you to sleep if you would have tried.
Well, no, you would have been too confused to sleep. Too confused. I think that there must be a director's cut out there or an extended version that has all of these things that would make this make sense. There has to be. It didn't make sense.
Tessa, that just made me realize, guess what there is a director's version of, and I am definitely going to watch it, Midsommar.
Ew, oh, no. What? There's an even longer version?
Oh, no.
There is a director's cut that is supposed to dive more into why the lead character kind of like make it a little more, get more into her involvement with the group. And
like after the fire?
No. Well,
unclear.
Kind of like just making it, because it's weird when you're watching it and you're like, so she's just totally cool with staying with them. Like we get she has trauma, but like she's kind of seen what happens. It puts a little more, there's more things that happen. You see more about how the other people died. You see them being aware of the deaths and like at the time more so, and I guess it's fleshed out a little more. I know, I can't believe it's probably 3 hours. I'm totally gonna watch
Wasn't the first one 3 hours? It felt like days.
Yeah, you're right.
It may as well have been days.
That is such, I love that movie so much.
I just can't believe that. I can't believe we didn't get Wonder Woman this year, but we did get an extended version of the, in my opinion, one of the worst movies of last year. And no,
have you seen Midsommar? Laura?
Yes.
Have you seen?
Yes, I did, and that was an example of a movie that I could not sleep afterwards. So
See, scary. At least it was scary for you.
It's upsetting. It's not scary.
I found it scary. I got scared at Sixth Sense, though, to be honest with you. So I still worry that there's going to be a man in my kitchen who's, you know, broken in and looking for prescription pills, but really is there to murder me. I still have flashbacks to that. So Midsummer was not for me. You can watch the director's cut. I'm gonna hard pass on that.
Yeah, I'm a hard pass on that. But I'm gonna recommend that people watch not just this 2019 version of Black Christmas. I'm gonna suggest that you also watch the 2006 version and the 1974 version. I think this is the most remade movie we've ever done on strong female lead.
I thought this was a new concept. I had no idea there were other ones. This is how uninformed I am.
No, it's definitely a retelling of a story that they got right pretty much the first time. They tried to redo it the second time, 2006 version, which is just like they added more blood. They added more blood and they upgraded the cameras. And then this version, they're like, oh, well, let's just do something completely different and just put it under the title of Black Christmas. That's one way to go about it.
There was no blood in this, right? Like there was no blood.
There was no blood in a slasher movie. It was a good amount of, the blood was black. And so was it blood or was it coffee or like a very thick molasses? I don't know. It was unclear.
Oh no, but the black is supposed to be toxic masculinity, right? That's the underlying message of.
You're right. And sometimes it gets on your hands. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thank you, Laura. Wow. Mm-hmm. I just thought it was, I don't know what I thought it was.
Black. God.
So, I don't know, but.
Yeah, I bet you're right.
Disgusting. So the overall plot of the 2019 version of Black Christmas is a group of female students are stalked by a stranger during their Christmas break. That is until young sorority pledges discover that the killer is part of an underground college conspiracy. And that is what the writers wrote as the synopsis for this film. Does that say anything about what happened?
That's not what I watched.
That's not what I watched at all. Where's the occult aspects?
Conspiracy.
Yeah, that sounds like there's a men's panel just speaking against women, and they're just like, we don't want women's studies at our school. No,
this is like. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, it's just like killer skulls. Like they're in like a group and then they just kill. And I'm just like, that's not a conspiracy. That is like, well, I don't know if it was called Skulls, but there's a version of that and it exists. And they just made them kill women.
Yeah.
Well, they were also doing their little ritual, like in the middle of the time that they had invited all these people over to just stumble into that room. Like that was real confusing to me. Like she's looking for her friend who's missing to sing the plastics Santa baby performance, and she can't find her, and she just stumbles into this ritual, and it's like, is there no other time to be doing this? It just
What's his face? What's his face is here from out of town, and this is the only time they could get him, so they had to do it at that moment. As soon as he walked in the door, they're like, let's get the ritual going. We got pledges.
Guess the fact that this is a remake or a sequel or whatever you want to call it, it's a little bit reassuring to me, because I felt like I was stepping into something that had been going on before I arrived. I don't know what
Oh yeah, there was no context, right? So we just basically it just starts right away, and it's just a sorority girls are getting killed by fraternity boys as part of this men's cult, which is basically just supposed to be the patriarchy.
Yes.
Like, that's all I thought. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, I mean, I guess that makes sense, but it just, the way the messaging was throughout, like I get the larger message, but the way it played out, I was just like, I don't understand.
This to me, like the only question that kept going through my mind was like, is this how like men hear like feminists speak? Is this what they hear when feminists speak? Because I'm mad at these women and I agree with them. I don't understand what the writers were trying to do. I don't know if it's just it's poorly executed, or if I don't know. Now I'm starting to think that they're wrong. I'm just so mad at them.
And they were all one note characters. And the one girl, the friend, was her name Mel? The girl who was always saying, you know, like, we have to fight the patriarchy. Like, she said nothing else. And I was like,
Chris, the black girl.
Yeah. And I get it. Like, I get what she's saying, but I'm like, that's such a caricature. Like, you're not even giving her any other dynamic to her personality. So is that what someone sees a feminist as? Is just, that's all they say all the time? Or there's
almost
like, I just don't get it.
Guys, I think we're somehow red pilled. I think, is this red pilling? Have we been roofied by a red pill? Those are like incel culture, where they're always talking about how women are somehow the root of all evil, coming for their places in every respect, and should be stopped by seemingly any means necessary. Internet culture.
Cool.
And I feel like I've been red pilled.
But what's the red pill?
Is accepting those things as true, that men are under attack, that masculinity is a problem that can only be solved.
Is that a Matrix reference?
It is. It is.
Okay.
It is a Matrix reference, which is even more funny because the whole point of the Matrix is that you never leave the Matrix. Even when you take the red pill, you're still in the Matrix. And so they think that they're escaping, that they've outside or ascended society in this way. And that's impossible because the metaphor that they're using doesn't make sense. So, but that's just
so red pilling is us accepting what?
The outside truth that feminist ideals are really just attacking patriarchy, and trying to usurp them in their created goal or place in society. I don't know. But
there was such a militance about it. Yeah. And I was just like, I get it. Like, what you're saying makes sense. And I agree with most of it. But like, why is this? I guess it's just because, I mean, this is only a couple of days where this takes place, but I'm like, is this what they hear all the time? Feminism is wanting equal access and equality. Like, that is actually what the definition is about. And so I do not understand why that has to be painted as something like crazy and negative necessarily, even against do you know what I mean? I'm just kind of like when friends of mine tell me, and I do have friends that say they're not feminists, and like female friends, and my counter to it is like, what do you consider feminism to be? Because like, it doesn't mean you shouldn't stay at home. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't stay at home and raise your kids if that's what you want to do. Like, it's not anti-femininity. It's not like, it doesn't have to be hateful. I mean, sometimes movements do become more like, they become strong and they can become militant because the issue is not being solved. But the theory behind it is equality. I just don't get it. I don't get why it's still, this is basically someone was like, you know what, let's make a movie about what we consider to be feminazis. Like, remember that term was always brought up? Like, if you really believed in feminism, especially like back in Cleveland in, I would say, the early 2000s and 90s, if you fought for women's rights or argued for women's rights, you were called a feminazi. And I'm like, it doesn't mean I hate men. Like, I don't know. It drove me crazy. It just brought all of those feels about like what feminism was told to me that it was, when it isn't necessarily. And that always drives me crazy. It's only a part of it, and only really if necessary. It's not like the full theory behind it. Ugh, anyways.
Yes. So I think what was interesting, I read a little interview with the director and writer Sophia Takal, co-writer April Wolf, in that the audience for this movie is women, which I thought was strange. I thought it was strange to have a movie with this messaging not target men, or at least be written in a way that engages men. It really feels like we're yelling at them for 2 hours, which is, I mean, fine. I mean, vent how you need to vent, but
so I think that is odd. And I think that there was so much like hitting you over the head with symbolism, and with, you know, even from the beginning when the first person is murdered and she flails her arms and makes herself into an angel. So like, yeah,
right.
when her angel to the
God.
black goo, that is toxic masculinity that's forcing men to, you know, act the way they do. But, you know, and also the fact that this toxic masculinity gives them like superhuman strength. So they're able to murder these women very easily, overpower them, outsmart them seemingly. And then the second she smashes the bust and, you know, makes the very over the top comment about like, oh, we never needed you, or whatever it is, then all of a sudden the women actually have the upper hand in the fight. And so it's like, once the, you know, boot is off of our throats of masculinity, and we're able to be equals, then it actually shows women as superior at that moment. So I think like that is anti-feminist in itself. So it is a confusing message to like, is this supposed to be empowering women, and it's ending up with this message which is actually a little bit messed up in the other way too. So
Yeah,
it's confusing.
I agree. I thought that the ending, it was especially like the most troubling part, because I was like, so you just let like maybe 10 to 15 men who were under some sort of demonic control or of this Hawthorne character just burn because you're mad at them for being under a mind control.
Right, you attacked them
odd.
in the same way that they attacked you.
Yeah.
Even though at this point, like, it's shown in the Landon character that the bust breaking breaks him out of his spell. So who's to say that the rest of them can't be redeemed either? Like, let's just lock them in here and burn them, which is like one of the more horrific ways to die. So it's problematic. It's problematic.
Yeah. And I mean, I kind of understood the guy, what's his name? Professor Gelson, probably deserved to die a little bit. You know, he seemed to be in on it from jump, and, you know, kind of like orchestrating this whole thing. So I'm like, that's so sad that he died. And the character who is accused of rape, that character seems, he was an asshole the whole movie. I'm not sad that he burned up in a fire. But the rest of them, they just seem like, oh, if Landon can be redeemed, can't the rest of them? Or isn't it worth trying? The messaging is very skewed. Yeah,
I think it reinforces the negative views of feminism, but I think what it was trying to do was to make women be like, fuck yeah, you know, like, fuck the patriarchy, we got this. And it's just only that angry piece, which is there alive in everyone who is every woman. I mean, because there's no way you can live in a society that is the way ours is set up and not feel it. But like, it just reinforces it at the same time. And I'm just like, what?
Yeah, it kind of, I mean, not so, it's subtly, but also not so subtly I don't know, solidifies the fear that I feel is going through that masculinity right now. That is, feminism doesn't mean equality. It means better
burning
than,
the house
or
down.
well, no, that it's like, that it will become like just a matriarchy. Like, they're just being unseated. It's not about equality, right?
And not be
like,
at the table, but have them left off the table.
Yeah, and I think that this movie kind of proved them right. And so I was like, maybe we don't talk about this movie anymore. And like, we appreciate the attempt that they made, but we just don't talk about this as being like, I would never nominate this for any like feminist award. I think this misses the mark on so many levels. But
it's a caricature of feminism, and I think that anger is understood, Like, at least I understand the anger. And then with that anger kind of comes like a want to overthrow the current regime. But like, we should all know by now that there's like a lot more nuance than that. And that is not actually the way to solve it. Like, we know that. And you can be a very strong, you know, unbridled feminist and understand that. There's like no awareness of it. It's basically to just have women cheering at the end, right? Like for all the guys that did shit to them, you know, for all the things that they suffered, which I get it, but like, come on, what the fuck?
Well, the people who, you know, there's irredeemable characters, like you mentioned, the guy who's accused of the rape, and you know they show flashbacks, and it does seem like that's what happened, as well as the professor. But then there's also like the boyfriend of the, I don't know his name, the one, the sorority sister whose boyfriend is around, and he films for them, and he seems to be on their side. And yeah, I get that he like had the whatever possession when he was saying he had the headaches, but like he tries to talk about it, and instead of including him in the conversation, the immediate reaction of his girlfriend, who seemingly has been dating him for a while and you know respects him as he respects her, is to just immediately kick him out and say like, we're not talking about this, like you're being ridiculous. Like it, like that is not a good message either. Like you can't just say, well, you know, we he does have a point, and she is doing exactly what, like you were saying, people fear will come of this. So that was also reinforcing a really troubling thought process.
And I think it's because he was saying the stereotypical things that
not all men,
women, the not all men, and you're being hysterical, and then it's like hysterical or like calm down. And I hate being told to calm down. Like I do absolutely hate that. I think that is directed towards women way more often than it is to men. But like the kicking him out though, like then that doesn't solve it then though. Like that's not calming down. Not that she needed to calm down when the argument started. She had every right to like feel annoyed and upset, but like then to take it to that point, then it's like, okay, well, now you've just like done what the person thought you were going to do, you know? And it's just like, I don't know, like just have an argument, yell all you want, and then come back to it. Like then sit and talk about it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, like, that's the missed nuance in having a social conversation told this way. Because you can't have them have a big argument like that and come back to that conversation when the problem is the technical world of the story. That's the world that they live in is what's flawed. So fixing these two characters in that way doesn't fix the movie and or the world. So okay, let me go through and just tell you the story of the movie, because we've already been talking about it, but you might not know exactly how we've come to these conclusions. So
trigger warning.
All the warnings. But the movie pretty much follows the story of Riley, who's played by Imogen Poots. And she's a sorority girl. She's a senior. She's like having an orphan, like what? Okay. She's having an orphan, what they call an orphan Christmas, which is I've heard this similar, but it's usually called a leftovers Christmas. Like why would you, I feel like orphans is offensive. But like, so I'm going to keep calling it the leftovers Christmas. So if you don't usually go home for the holidays, or for whatever reason, and you're like stuck at school, you'd have like a leftovers, like Thanksgiving or a leftovers Christmas. And so that's what she's doing with her sorority sisters in their house. And it's like the last day of the semester. They have this big rival, what is the male sorority called?
Fraternity.
I don't know.
Fraternity. That.
What's that male sorority?
Yeah, what is it? Same thing. I do always forget that word. It just doesn't really exist to me. So the fraternity is having an end of the year like rager thing, and the sisters from Imogen's is that how you say it, Imogen?
I don't know.
From well, her and her sisters are going to perform Mean Girls style, plastic style, like Laura said, at the party to just like get it going. Secretly, they have an ulterior motive, which is to kind of confront the fraternity for their bad behavior throughout the year and throughout their time at the Hawthorne University.
Their raping ways. Let's just call it what it is.
Yes. Well, I mean, yes. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. I mean, that's what they're confronting. I don't know if all those rapes happened. We didn't go into that, but it's a, I mean, we had a fraternity that was thought to be the date rape fraternity at my college. It was, I'm going to say it, and my apologies, beta rape your data.
Wow.
That was what they were called and what they were known for. I knew some beta people. I had never seen it, but like, yeah, they were known for something. So I think that's
the most disturbing part is these names for fraternities, and the brothers within the fraternity know these names, and then it just never clicks to them that there's something wrong.
No,
wrong with
just
that.
Women being crazy, and then making a movie in which they ultimately do go crazy.
Yeah. Well, my only hesitation with calling it like was the individual was accused of rape. Like the sorority, from what I could tell, isn't known for being rapists, but they are murderers, so maybe they are rapists too. Who knows?
Fraternity.
Fraternity. You know, I feel like all of these type of things are sororities.
No, don't lump us in with the fraternities. God.
Yeah, I mean, the house bunny happened, so you know, sorority movies can work. But so they do their performance. It offends all the boys. They run out. Imogen meets the character Landon, who is like kind of a Harry Potter kind of dude who's just like, I think he would self-identify as a feminist.
It's like the anti-dude.
Yeah, which is fine. He's there. I assumed that he was in on the whole plot the whole time, and then they made him.
Yeah, I did too.
Not, and I was like, he should have just been in on it also. But all the while, during this last week of school, girls are going missing. So there's originally the Snow Angel murder, and we're like, what's going on? Why are there hooded guys everywhere? And why is everyone using the same lame internet site for DMs? And why won't you just block people you don't know?
And why are they using arrows? God, it's just really unnecessary as a weapon in this situation.
You know, I mean, but it has so much style, and so maybe that's it. They just wanted to literally leave their mark on the whole murder game, and that's how they chose to do it.
I mean, they don't need to pick people off from like a distance where they need arrows. Like this is just
which is hilarious because you couldn't be that far away shooting an arrow. Like this isn't.
I know.
Just like, what?
Yeah, just style. That's all that was.
You know, flair for the dramatics, as we know fraternities do.
Yeah.
But so girls start going missing, and then eventually it's like Christmas Eve, and the girls are in their sorority house, and one of the sisters goes missing. There's this big confrontation between the sisters. Imogen's character has become more increasingly uncomfortable with what's going on because she's getting these threatening DMs, and then they have to explain to the security guard what a DM is. And I was like, when was this movie written? Who doesn't know what a DM is? If you work on a college campus, you should at least know the basics of how to secure people if you are security on a campus.
Oh, and don't forget that he was just disgustingly putting mayonnaise on a sandwich. Not on, just like directly on the meat, not on the bread part. Like just.
I was just imagining mouth sounds the whole time, and I was like, I hate you. I feel, was I supposed to hate him? Because that was the only scene that probably got the emotional response that it was looking for.
Yeah, he was supposed to be useless. He was supposed to be useless, right? Which he was.
Yeah.
In a movie with 50 plus murders, that was the most offensive part.
100%. So Imogen's character goes, or her name is Riley in the movie, but Riley goes to security. She's like turned her way for being a silly girl with just an active imagination, and she's like, I'll show them. So she finds Landon and convinces him to do her dirty work for him by going into the fraternity house and seeing if the guys are really either on their ski trip or, you know, in the house doing nefarious shit. Turns out they are.
When Landon walks in and he starts like having a real like strong temper reaction, was he already under the effects of this, or was that a show? Because that was frightening.
It was so much emotion for that character. I was afraid as well, but I think that was just him, just for pent up anger. At least they didn't make it seem like he didn't like check his ears or anything for that high pitched sound that was like, I guess the anger call between men was just that high pitched screeching.
Maybe that was the sound of
women.
Yeah, right. Women being hysterical. He did get that like dog whistle or whatever sound that at the end of his
he did get
like encounter with them. But I was like, what? Yeah, I think he was just like trying to be cool for her. I think like that's where it was coming from.
So he's in there like being like big mad and like screaming about his mixer.
Big mad. He was
big mad. And he's just like, you broke my mixer, brothers. Was he a part of the fraternity? Was unclear.
I don't think so.
Or just the DJ.
He's in the AV club.
Yeah. He has his own sorority.
Did I say sorority again? I'm sorry.
No, I just did it.
Okay. I was trying.
I did a callback. I did a lame callback.
I loved it. No, it was good. Do you hear me? I'm laughing. Where were we? Oh yeah, he's big mad. And then the guys come out. They roll into the fraternity meeting hall, living room. Yeah. And they're like, "Hey, join us, brother." And he's like, "Pass." But they're like,
sure,
really? And he's like, okay.
Yeah, they're like, it's not optional. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, cool. Is this what I'm wearing okay? And they're like, no, let me give you a rope. And so we cut back to the girls. It's now nighttime, and the girls are fighting about not wanting to be fighters and when it's appropriate to fight for feminist ideals and when is it okay to just, you know, live your life. And so all the girls have like differing opinions. There's a character, Marty, the long-haired brunette. Her and her boyfriend get into the fight, and then
there's the weird thing about the animals and how the third animal you name is how you view your friends. And she said ants because they're strong and they work together.
I didn't get it.
I was like, what a terrible analogy, because ants serve a queen. And so that's also like a matriarchy that we're all just arguing that it's not what we want, but it is what we want.
I don't know, man.
Yeah. Also, like, just things that you want to get rid of. I don't know. Anyways, continue.
Yeah, in that scenario, are you the queen bee or just an ant along with them, or the queen ant, the ant mistress?
Unclear.
I don't know. It's unclear, but she says it later. During a do or die time, we're ants.
God, what a rousing speech! You know, I would have taken my hole-ridden, stab-ridden body and really rallied at that moment after being called an ant. Yeah. Just to new heights. So the boyfriend leaves. They blow up at him for not understanding feminism and defending men in a way that they didn't approve of, which was also kind of wrong. They were kind of right. He was kind of right. It's beside the point. So now the murders are happening. The fraternity.
So now it's murder time. Misunderstanding, miscommunication, murder.
So the fraternity has somehow infiltrated their sorority house, and the bow and arrow guy is back. He's shooting arrows at folks, and this is where I lose it a little bit. I'm like, was the rest of this movie written, or did they pitch this and then they're like, we'll get it when we're on set, like we'll just feel it. because none of the rest of this made sense to me, because everyone is tiptoeing around this house and it doesn't look like it's that big. And so how are we avoiding everyone? And there's like 4 like hooded fraternity members in the house, just like texting or like not paying attention to like the 2.5 girls roaming around the house the whole time.
Yeah, I don't know. How'd they get in? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Puzzled.
It seems like the girl just gets her leg grazed by the arrow, but then she's incapacitated too. I don't get it.
Well, if I've learned anything from Christmas with a Prince, and that is a leg injury, any sort of leg injury can completely take you down. And
Yeah,
so
you are
life-defining.
for weeks.
And also, I will admit, I got confused because I know there were some girls that were actually murdered, but then when the 2 leads, I guess, like the one lead and her friend, they turn on the lights and they just have like black gunk on them. I was like, was anyone murdered? There was a second where I was like, did that happen to all of them? Like, who's dead and who's not? I didn't get it.
I was just confused on like why the men are bleeding black, because I was like, oh, they're gonna reveal that they're like jinn or something, and so they're not really human, that they're like some sort of like, again, they brought in this occult element that the bust of the school's founder Hawthorne is, you know, into the occult and like can like make essentially like terracotta warriors out of sorority or fraternity brothers. And so that's what I was expecting, for there to be some explanation as to why they're not like bleeding blood, because they've been stabbed in their human body, in their human flesh that I think pumps human blood, and then they bled black.
Yeah, I thought that one of those girls had been hit with whatever the weapon was, and so then I was kind of like, oh, so no one died? I really thought that for a second, like when it was just black blood on them, I was like, oh, so no one actually died, but really it was just the toxic masculinity spraying on them. Spraying on them. And then they didn't get hit, and I was like, I can't with any, because this is really, really sickening. Anyway,
it's just so sad. And can I like, I know I skipped it earlier, but there is like this girl, I think, I don't remember her name in the movie, but like she is like she runs into Imogen's room and she's like, I can't find my diva cup, and I'm like,
oh god.
Oh.
Oh, and then she inserts a tampon like right there, right, or a pad, like right in front of her friend.
Did she give her a different diva cup?
I didn't know.
No
what
idea.
But and it was very much like that, like familiar college, like we're feminists, none of this is gross, like this is just like, do you know what I mean? And I was like, I had a little bit of that in college, like I was a little weird, but like not that kind of, I was like, whoa, like never. This is now, it's just like a boundary. There's boundaries that are here and they are not there. And she's just smiling and shoves it, and everyone's like, haha, good morning, off to the day. And I was like, it's just weird. Full on boundaryless. Whereas I didn't really have boundaries with my friends in college either, but I didn't understand that shit. I thought that was wild.
I thought that was so wild. But then I felt bad because, you know, later in the movie she is murdered. And I was just like, well, what did she do wrong? It seems like they're like the boys have a vendetta against the other girls because they're like involved in like getting professors fired and like accusing their brothers of rape accurately, and have actually wronged them, and then they just murder her because she was home.
They must have she must have done something that they thought.
When they all live together, so they all have access to each other's rooms, seemingly just walking in and out of each other's rooms, which is fine. But the whole, like, the token that represented each of them, which made them, targets? Mm-hmm. Of all the things you could choose from her room, you chose her diva cup. Did she not have a hairbrush or a toothbrush or any item of clothing? Like, why would that be the thing? Like,
and those are obviously reusable. So, like, they just took her used diva cup.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, cool. Ish.
cool.
Jesus.
And not because menstruation is wrong or gross, but body fluids are a little gross.
Yeah,
right. Oh yeah, menstruation isn't gross, but I'm not about to pick up my friend's used Diva cup and be like, "Yo, thanks."
You
like,
still
no.
using this? Like what?
I don't know. I didn't get it.
Yeah.
There was
I wouldn't want to pick up her retainer either. Like just no.
I know. Don't get my Invisalign. Like fuck that. Like don't touch my shit.
It's just too far. It's just too far.
Yeah.
And I
But
was
they
like,
were pounding it in our heads, right? Like like feminism. And I'm like, that doesn't necessarily mean feminism. Like I tried a Diva cup. That shit did not work for me. But it doesn't mean I'm not I don't know. I don't get it. I don't know what I'm saying.
I just don't understand. I just didn't understand that scene. I was like, why even introduce this character to have her like say, "Where's my Diva cup?" From something about being Jewish and wishing her Christmas and then murder.
Yeah. I don't know. It was terrible.
I just felt bad for her. I was like, oh, she could have survived. I wish she would have survived.
And what about the girl who got strangled by the lights?
That's her.
Or, no, she got axed. No, sorry, there was a
Oh.
different one. She died and was outside, just sitting under the bridge. The girl with the Diva cup. Then there was the other girl that went upstairs, like she was with them at their little party. And she went looking for Christmas lights, and then she got axed with Christmas lights all over her. I'm like, what'd she do?
She was in the little sketch, the song that they did. So she did. She at least offended them. She at least not
they don't like Diva
it,
cups.
They don't like Diva cups. So like, cut that shit out. It's maxi pads or nothing.
That's the only thing I can think of. Maxi overnight.
With
overnight
wings.
maxi pads with wings, just diapers. Which you might as well be wearing. Oh God, let's just bring
Every time
it.
I say maxi pad, I just think of like a vending machine of like tampons. Like that's the only place I've ever I think I even see the word maxi pad.
And this is bringing me back to like when I couldn't use a tampon. Like when I first got my period and it like hurt too much and I couldn't go through with it, and just maxi pads for my life. And God, when I got out of that, it was a good life moment when those weren't a part of my everyday. Because they used to, now they have light but absorbable ones, like they've come a long way. Yeah. But like in the 90s,
pad science has really
the 90s it was not good. Maxi pads were not great. Like I honestly thought like you could like see it through my clothes. Like that's how crazy those things were. I was like, this is huge.
You may have been able to. That seems like a Pen 15 kind of situation. Yeah. Oh, by the way, Tricia, I had the exact same conversation with someone where I was like, oh, Pen 15 club, penis. And they were like, what are you talking about? Oh! So that transcended, that was happening in Indiana as well. So, that there was a very short time frame where that was happening, and I was involved with that too. So I had to explain it to a room full of people as well. So
yeah, I think a lot of Pen 15 viewers might not realize that, and they don't say it, which is then just like a little nugget for whoever knows it. But yeah, it was penis club through and through. So
okay, so we're going through the murders. We're talking murders. We've got the murder in the closet with the lights. I actually really liked that girl. I liked her little comment about like, do Christmas lights expire? And I was like, do they? Is that a thing?
I know.
She confused me for a second. It's like, oh, I wonder if mine are, was my next thought. And I was like, that's stupid. Why would they don't, right?
No,
they just burn out, right?
Yeah. I don't know. Interesting. They gave her a line to run with.
Yeah, she was cute. But then she was murdered.
For being cute.
But it's just, which kind of made it sad. I was like, oh, darn, her too. So so Imogen and I think her name is Chris, are running throughout their house trying to not be Robin Hooded to death by the guy with a bow and arrow. And they originally run out and get into a car. And I was like, oh my God, the thing that every woman in a horror movie is supposed to do, go for the door and not the stairs. I was like, they did it. Movie over. That was fast. I was like proud of us. And I was like, we did it. We nailed it.
No, I was like, there's going to be one in the car. Check the back seat. Why aren't you looking behind you? Like I was so anxious.
I was like, okay, great. They're actually gonna like do the thing where they go and get like help. They go to the police and they're in the car having a conversation about like when is it okay to be a fighter and when should they leave and like
and
live,
then they fight
choose to live.
And then she gets out of the car. I'm like, you guys are trying to survive. Like, and now your friend is out of the car and I'm like, guys, anytime to let this go. This is the time. There's no need to argue about this right now.
No. Well, this is the scene that just shows you that the whole movie didn't make sense up until this part because they just give you the entire plot again, just in case you weren't following. Just in case you weren't following or needed an explainer for some reason, Imogen gives you the entire movie again. She's like, well, what's going on? Which she has no way of knowing.
Oh, I know.
Which was, how does she know any of this? But she pretty much surmises that the fraternity, after she sees them doing the ritual, she's put together that they are the ones being controlled by the bust of Hawthorne, and they're murdering women for some sort of ritualistic sacrifice, and the only way to stop it is to break in and destroy the bust. And I'm like, that's the part.
That is the telltale sign of a no plot movie, is the lead character figures it out insanely fast and then explains it just like a couple times throughout. And you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. But I did love that Chris's reaction when she's just like, no. And I was like, thank you. Say no. Go get help. Don't follow her. She's insane. I wouldn't.
She ended up being right. She ended up being right.
She did end up being so messed up.
Which is weird. But she was right. But also Chris had no reason to believe her.
None.
And I know Chris was very, like she was argumentative. Like she argued every point, right? So anything you brought up to her, she argued. And like, I get that was kind of her personality. But I was like, yeah, but this, I'd be saying no to. That seems a little bit of a little bit of a stretch.
Yeah.
But don't argue. Just make a decision and do it. Then you just leave your friend. Like, someone give in.
Exactly. But then they're driving and we figure out that like it's not an isolated event. The fraternity is like hitting every female sorority on campus. And we're like, how many people pledged this?
That was one of the only good, well done things I think in the movie was when you see the cop getting the call right after the friend was reaching for his phone and you're like, oh, good. And then like, surprise, surprise, he's actually at another sorority and then it's revealed that it's happening. That was like one of the only times where I was genuinely like, oh, okay. Like that was well done.
Good storytelling. Because I fell for it, hook, line, and sinker. And I was like, wow, okay, yeah, exactly. All right, good turn. But now we're just going back to total shit right after.
Yeah. So then all of, Imogen's getting out and she's like, I'm going to take them down by myself, ? But Chris is very smartly just going to go get help. And then she happens to run into the other sorority girls and they all get in the car and then are not seen again until the end of the movie. They could just be riding around town. They don't come with reinforcements, so I'm going to guess that that's what they were doing.
But if you're going to go get help and you're not going to get a cop, fine, then get multiple people. But Imogen, what the fuck do you think is going to happen with you by yourself?
But my question is, where did they get all those weapons? Because they show up at the big finale fight, also with bows and arrows, also with like bats and clubs and stuff. And I'm like, but when
you'll discover that the weapons are within us.
Yes, you materialize the weapon. That was just the weapon of female empowerment.
What would my my weapon be? I would spit fire. Literally.
Spit fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, what would
your weapon
be?
Probably
Invisibility.
like a chainsaw.
What? Chainsaw? Okay,
Yeah,
I like that.
It's a cool weapon.
It is.
I love that.
It's a little
Like,
unwieldy. Gets the
I
job
love that
done.
yours is a chainsaw because it does require like a lot of close contact to the person, which I appreciate better than a bow and arrow. But then mine is invisibility, which is terrible for a movie that is talking about basically women being invisible. Yeah. But I wanted it as a weapon.
Really revealing.
No, because I want to be, it is revealing, but I want to be able to, just like disappear and then just show up right in front of them or kill them while invisible. Fuck it. Maybe there's a lot to be had. There's a lot to dissect in that. But yeah, maybe that's what I feel my strongest weapon would be. Surprise. Very telling. Chainsaw, invisibility.
What would your weapon? It's not what would your superpower be. It's what would your weapon be?
A literal weapon. I mean, it could be a magical weapon, like mine's spitting fire.
Yeah, I heard spitting fire. I thought that I could just like disappear, but I guess my weapon, a magical weapon? It would have to be magical.
No, it doesn't. Mine's a chainsaw.
No, for me, I need a magical one if I have a choice. Maybe, I don't know, some sort of magical sword. Anyways, it's terrible. And honestly, I think they got the weapons from all the houses that the women were attacked in. But I'm kind of like all the other sorority houses. That's where I sort of thought they got the weapons, but then it's like, what, you were able to kill off every dude that got in there and get their weapons? I don't know.
Exactly. I was puzzled. I mean, it was very reminiscent of the Endgame scene when all the female Marvel characters show up and they're like, we're here to fight and we're ladies. But just like way less epic and less well done and kind of stupid. And murderous in the end.
I think someone came in with like a ball and chain. There was some wild weapon in there where I was like, what? They've come to fight war.
I just love how hard the women were fighting. Like they look like they had all gone to stunt school. Like these are just like average girls like throwing punches like they are like in the ring with Mike Tyson. Like I was truly shocked by the way these girls were fighting. Yeah. This attempt at horror wouldn't be complete without the twist at the end. And the twist at the end is that there's what is the saying? A wolf in the hen house? Is that correct? Something like that. What? There's a traitor amongst them.
Fox in the hen house?
Oh, fox.
What did I say?
Wolf. Wolf in sheep's clothing or...
Yeah. What? Yeah, both of those commonly said phrases that I totally nailed.
You're right though. Traitor at the end.
Traitor. And so this is like, so I believe her name is Helena. So Imogen, the lead character, spends a little time looking for her because we think she's been murdered. Turns out she's just a traitor to both her sisters and her gender. They find her in the meeting hall of the fraternity. I am going to say it correctly. It's a fraternity.
Mm-hmm.
And she's gone to the dark side. She's embraced the patriarchy as her own in an attempt to save her own life and to secure her standing amongst the ranks of men as the solitary or elevated woman. And so I think, unfortunately, this is another like missed opportunity for the writers in this movie, in that, again, like the woman who is choosing to like uphold quote unquote traditional like gender norms is ostracized and made to feel, as I described, that she's outside of and is the traitor and blah blah blah. But is that the message that we want to women who choose to uphold traditional gender roles and live a quote unquote traditional patriarchal existence? I would think that the message is not that.
I mean, the way she says it, you know, like when she's like, our rightful place behind them, it's like a little difficult for me to, I'm just like, ooh, like just for someone like me. But I don't think that we need to make someone feel bad if they want to be in a more submissive role. Like, you can't force anyone to do anything. And feminism, again, is just wanting equal opportunity and access. It's not saying, it's gender equality. It's not saying that someone can't make a decision to be, you know, to want to be more submissive.
Yeah,
so, like, I don't get it.
This movie's messaging is confusing in the same way, in that it's saying that feminism is not equality, it's superiority to men, which I think could just be I guess I'm confused on whether or not that is the opinion of the writers, or if that was just an unconscious mistake. I'm hoping for the latter.
Let's just say this movie will not make anything better, right?
No.
Like, this messaging will not make it better for women, for sure.
No, and I feel like if you want to like lead a quote unquote traditional life in the gender roles that feel most comfortable to you, then do that. What does that have to do with women being why is that ever considered a negative or like a strike against you, and that you want the life you want? Like, that's what we're all fighting for, is that we be seen equally and given a chance to choose the life that we want without
I have never understood it, like, even as a kid. And it's something I feel like I waste a lot of time getting upset over, and it's not, I don't think it's worth it. But like, ever since I was younger, I always had a live and let live attitude, like always. Like, as a child, as a teenager, grew up in a very conservative home, and it was always like, that's the other person's life. Like, why on earth do I want to impose something on another person for their own life? And then it would make me angry when I would see people do it all the time. And then to me, and I'm just like, I don't want to tell anyone how to live. Like, I don't care. Like, I want everyone to have equal access and the opportunity to choose their own life. But like, why is everyone so concerned about what everyone else is doing? It's always been baffling to me, like, always. It's just something I just don't concern myself about, ever. Unless it's like harmful to the person or that I care about, you know, obviously I'm concerned, but not in people's choices and like what they decide. I don't think it's for me to make the decision. And this is doing the same thing to that girl that the women don't want done to them, you know? And I'm just like, oh, except that she did like kind of fake her out to get her knocked over the head, like,
she did, like, set her up.
Well, she gets her next nap for her troubles.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That is like, it just doesn't. I don't get it.
I mean, I understand. I don't agree with the thought process of like, oh, if there's a social contract, then we can get along more cohesively in a society if we agreed on certain social things. But I think the reality of the American experiment is that most of us are never going to agree on that anymore. Mm-hmm. That system has died, and to just kind of embrace the gray, the chaos, for what it is, and that is everyone choosing, and you get to choose as a perk, probably the only perk of being an American in 2020, is that we do get to choose, for the most part, how we live our lives, as long as it's not hurting someone else. So yeah, I didn't like the villainization of this character Helena for that reason, but all the other reasons, yeah, she's a complete asshole who betrays her sisters in order to secure her own place with these men who eventually kill her. So she's her own cautionary
she's a
tale.
total traitor, yeah, but
Yeah.
like in what she wants, like in that one thing she says to her, you know, like, why don't you want to do this? And she tries to, like, she just says where she's coming from in that piece. I'm like, okay, but like then the girl can just be like, no.
Exactly.
The part though when he's like, I told you I'd get her to kneel, like, when, oh, that was so disgusting.
Yeah,
like,
terrible.
Just ugh.
Yeah, that was disgusting. And I was like, yeah, no one's sad that you died. No one is shedding any tears over, I think his name was like Ryan or something. Brian Huntley. Sounds like
eye roll.
They got that portrait of him painted pretty quickly.
Those portraits were amazing, and I thought for sure their eyes were following them, so I kept like really focusing on them, and I was like, are there people like behind the photos, like with their eyes moving, watching people walk in the hallway,
like a Mona Lisa?
Yeah.
Like
the Ghostbusters.
An allegory for the male gaze.
Laura, you're good at this.
Ooh, I love that. Yeah, it was just, so then they just all kill them, right?
Yeah, so that's the problematic ending, is that they all discover that Imogen is right, and all they have to do is break this bust of the founder Hawthorne, and the men will be let go of whatever spell, dark magic they've been cast under. So they do that, but then instead of, you know, the fighting stopping and everyone kind of like licking their wounds, going to their corners, in the chaos of it, they end up locking the women plus Landon all run out and lock all the remaining men in the room with the bust while it's burning, and they all run out of the house and look back at it and just marvel in their accomplishment of literally defeating masculinity and the patriarchy. And credits. Exactly. And I was like, how on earth is this the ending? I was like, where was the real ending? I was like waiting. I was like, maybe if I just keep watching the credits, it'll give me like the real ending.
Mm-hmm.
But then it didn't. It gave me this dumb cat eating the toxic masculinity. So now you can't even trust cats.
Yeah. Was it a female cat though? Is she going to be okay? Or is it a male cat that's going to start killing people now?
It was a female cat, but she might be a traitor too.
It was, yeah.
Well, I didn't see her cat necklace on the table with all the rest of the stuff, so she'll be okay.
So SFLs.
What do we think? Oof. You know, the criteria is that they be top billed, that they have agency, and that they move the plot along. So the only character who can't even be nominated is Imogen Poots' character Riley, who is the lead. Yes, she is top billed. Does she have agency? Is she making choices?
She's kind of forced to do the dance and song number, but then she eventually becomes empowered by it.
Yeah.
She tries to go to the police, but that they don't help. I think, yeah, like right at the end when she's kneeling and then she ends up getting up and trying to attack him, that she shows some agency.
Mm-hmm.
I think she has agency too. It's not like the way we really like to see it, but this is the universe that we're in.
Yeah.
And I think she has agency within that.
I agree.
She does choose to get out of the car.
She does. Which, yeah. I agree that she has agency. It just doesn't, it seems like even more than normal, she's written to do it, and it doesn't seem like an action that character would have actually made, given how hard it was to get her to do the performance. She's now flipped a switch so quickly to Rambo. She flipped that Rambo switch, and now she's just like out for blood. So, okay. And the last one is, does she move the plot along?
Yeah.
She figures out what's happening with the possession. So
yeah, she
yeah.
she does. She not only moves the plot along, but explains it to us, and then continues the action.
Yeah, she takes just a moment, a pause, and explains the whole plot to us. So I mean, she gets it. She knows the plot. She's making choices.
She is. And so with that rousing show of support, Riley is an SFL.
She is. Yay. I mean, if they couldn't even have an SFL with this, the ultimate failure it would be, and it's already a failure. But if they couldn't pull out a strong female lead in this story where they are like beating us over the head with this idea, I mean, thank God for that. Just thank God that that out.
That would have been puzzling and hilarious to not even pull out an SFL in this extremely feminist feature. So the movie is screaming at us, but what were your thoughts on femininity throughout the movie? Anything jump out at you that we haven't already discussed?
Honestly, I think we covered it. Like it just turns it on its head and reinforces a lot of things while trying to fight against them, in my opinion.
Yeah,
it really cuts its own knees off. Like it really just does not accomplish
it cuts itself at the knees.
Yeah,
I love that. Cutting my own knees, just cutting them. I love it.
This movie, I really feel like it could have worked if we were seeing this all happen from the perspective of the pledges being indoctrinated into the fraternity, into the fraternal order of Hawthorne, and choosing to go with what is toxic or to support women in their pursuit of equality. I think that movie could have worked and that plot could have worked. I want to offer more constructive solutions to this because I really love this is a Blumhouse picture, and their movies always have some overarching moral message, but this one just didn't work because they are literally yelling at us, the viewer. So it was hard to pay attention. This felt like a lecture with murder than more than a film. Do you guys have any thoughts on masculinity and how men would have maybe seen this or take this? There is a strong response from men about this movie on the interwebs. It's not good. But
Shocker.
But and I hate agreeing with men on the interwebs. But they have a point.
It does pass the Bechdel test. Is that what it's called?
Mm-hmm.
There are scenes where the women are talking about things that aren't men, like diva cups.
Oh, diva cups. Okay, I was going to say, because if they're not talking about a man, they're talking about the patriarchy.
Yeah.
But there is a diva cup moment. There's definitely a diva cup moment that may have made it past the Bechdel. Awesome.
Ooh. Okay, so there's 400 reviews on IMDb, and people had time for this.
Oh,
let me give just some. These aren't that bad. A lot of 1-star reviews. That's
out of 10, right?
Out of 10. So,
right.
A lot of people recommending the original and 2006 versions. Most people are offended that this be even called Black Christmas. It is a very far outside of there being a university, a fraternity, and a sorority. I think that those are the only ties between Black Christmas, the 1974 version, and Black Christmas, the 2019 version. But a lot of people just generally calling it horrible, using the words horrible explicitly, calling the director horrible also. This person says, genuinely, I wish I'd followed the advice of some of the reviews. I've seen and given this one a miss. It's essentially a feminist advertisement with a slasher moment thrown in to make the trailer seem half appealing. Glad I didn't pay to see it. As am I. This movie is currently available on HBO. HMO also, if you just need help.
Your HMO plan.
Yeah. So hopefully you don't have to pay too much to see this, because it's an experience. It's a viewing experience. And if you like bad horror movies, don't watch this because it's just bad. But if you just have time on your hands, I don't know if we've mentioned at all, I chose this movie because it's Christmas themed. There's Christmas all around.
Right.
I can feel it in my toes. I just want to put that one out there for the listeners too, who hopefully listened to the previous episode on Love Actually, because that song has been stuck in my head for weeks. What I do for you guys.
This doesn't have to have anything to do with Christmas. This could have taken place at any time in any country in any universe. Been just as bad. So Christmas in name only.
Well, there was a good kill. The girl got killed with the Christmas lights, and I was like, I'd be okay going out like that. Christmas is by far my favorite holiday. So
I like that.
if I had to choose.
Well, you could have twinkle lights on a porch or something. It doesn't have to be Christmas.
This is true. And the funny thing is that the original director for this movie, the 1974 version, also directed Halloween.
Whoa.
And so he loves a murder on a holiday, on the highest holiday.
I look forward to his next one about Labor Day.
Yeah. I think they just needed people to be on campus and have it be desolate.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's different ways to do that, but like, I think that's, I don't know.
Yeah. But I feel like this could have been like a Thanksgiving slasher too. It would have like the Christmas part was kind of like irrelevant. You're right.
It had nothing to do with anything.
Yeah. Guys, I'm sorry is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, this was a holiday movie. This was Tessa's holiday pick.
This is just, indicative of 2020. We went in with the best expectations. The previous versions had been pretty good. And this one missed the mark and has left us questioning our own existence and what reality really is.
I never thought I'd be able to say I liked Christmas with Prince better, but turns out
I mean,
I did.
Yeah, both bad. I found this easier to watch, but it bothered me tremendously. So, what are our ratings?
I give it half of a Hawthorne oozing black statue.
I like that.
Ooh.
Out of 20.
I'm gonna give this 1 out of 5. 1 out of 5. Bows and arrows being shot at you directly and then missing, because who shoots bows and arrows? It's 2020.
I know this isn't the
it tried its best. It just missed the mark on like pretty much every level, as every review has stated. But that's why I don't read reviews, guys. I like to be surprised.
Mm-hmm. I give it 1 out of 5 as well. Reviews. You should read it. I give it 1 out of 5 orphan dinners or orphans hangout, whatever they called it, which was terrible because I was like, did both of her parents die? Right? There was like this weird moment where the one girl said it and she's like, oh, sorry. And I was like, okay, throwaway. We'll never know.
Yeah. Yeah. That was another thing, is like, I didn't care about any of these girls. I mean, I care in the abstract way that they're like women being attacked because they're women, but them as individuals,
no.
Yeah. Agreed.
No. Not at all.
Yeah.
At all.
They tried it. Hopefully 2021 they'll just remake this like it never happened with all of my suggested fixes. Thank you.
I love your 2021 optimism. This has been amazing. Thank you again, Dr. Laura. Where can everyone find you on social?
Let's see. What is my Instagram? I never talk about that. I don't know what it is. I think it's LLR, just like the other one, spelled out ELLEARE. So that doesn't help.
Easy, just easy. Remember
Twitter,
that, guys.
Instagram. Yeah,
Same.
that's it. Just follow Tricia and Tessa instead.
Aw, she's so sweet. You always redirect, but we gotta let you say
Gotta let you shine.
Yeah, we
vaccinate your kids. That's what I'm gonna be.
Vaccination. Hashtag vaccines. I like that. You can find us, Strong Female Lead, at Strong Female Pod on Instagram.
Yes, and tweet at us. I'll post a public apology for making you listen to this, and if you want to just tweet that you accepted it, I would appreciate that, just so that I know that my conscience is clear, and it would just make me feel a lot better if you were to just accept my apology, my open apology, for making you watch Black Christmas.
You should write an open letter and post it on Instagram.
An open apology.
Just a letter.
In 144 characters.
And yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah.
Rate, review, subscribe, Apple Podcasts, iTunes, and that's the end of our holiday.
What's up next?
Right. What's up
next? Next is break. And then if there's something you guys want to see in January when we're back, we're taking a little break for the holidays. But yeah, if there's anything you want us to review, we had a lot of fun this year so far. And so what have we done? Have we done any sports movies? What haven't we done yet?
What sports movies?
I don't know. I can only think of like A League of Their Own and
League of Their Own. That's a great one.
Yeah. There has to be more female sports movies than that. Bend It Like Beckham.
$1 Million Baby.
Million. We wanted to do Hilary Swank.
Yeah. We do want to do her. Like Hilary Swank. Trying to think.
I'm sure Charlize has done one. She's very athletic. Right?
A sports movie?
Yeah.
I love that. I think our next, after this, our next episode will be up on January 13th. So you guys can.
We have to wait that long for the next episode?
I know, sad.
I know. I'll be watching. We'll be on social media. We're going to kick up this social media game and keep you guys going. You guys had some good recommendations for shows to be watching while we're on this break. What were you guys saying earlier?
Queen's Gambit.
Queen's Gambit. That's exciting.
Yeah, and we'll be watching stuff throughout the break and throwing up some SFL ratings on Instagram. So feel free to jump in and be a part of it, be a part of the conversation. We love hearing from you all. That's it.
Awesome. Guys, have a happy holidays. See ya.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for coming on. Bye.